Hello everyone, and this is Beastly Eel here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of X-Men 97. So this was a two-part episode, even though this is a weird way to explain it. The first half was called Motendo, which was basically a big huge homage to the X-Men arcade game that was out many years ago. A game that I did love to play a lot. Um, Apparently, this was Jubilee's 18th birthday party, or 18th birthday, I should say. And because of that, they were trying to figure out how they were going to celebrate her birthday. Magneto, on the other hand, thought it should be used and not wasted. And it should be used for them to train and gain their abilities even far beyond what they are capable of now. And he believes that Jubilee should do the same thing. Everyone else is trying to convince Magneto otherwise, but in the end, Jubilee loses that fight, and she has to celebrate her birthday training. So she goes upstairs with none other than Sunspot. They're upstairs, and they notice that there's a game system that's in her room that she was not seen before, called Motendo. Now, wink, wink, wink. That's a hint to Nintendo because Disney, you know, because of Nintendo in general, and the fact that Disney likes using a lot of hints to the audience, especially in the 90s. The 90s, Nintendo was huge. So Motendo existed. So the game open fires and releases, I guess you would say, wires onto the two of them and sucks them into the game. Well, it's controlled by none other than Mojo himself. Mojo has gotten out of the movie biz and got into the video game stint. So because of that, he's now trying to find a new way to get ratings up. Because apparently, when ratings are down, he becomes a skeleton because he's lost a lot of weight. Um, so during this, he's trying to get Sunspot and Jubilee to play his game. And the game is apparently Jubilee's past on loop, where she has to defeat all these different villains in her past to get through the entirety of the game. And he's basically offering her the chance to be able to live forever in a game. However, if she dies in the game, she dies for real. So they have them continuing on. So the game kind of goes through all the different fights. We have the Savage World. Actually, the very first level had to do with her beginnings of the X Men, which was the Sentinels attacking her in New York. She's able to survive, blah, blah, blah. They start beating up creatures. They continue on. They go into the Savage Land, have to fight Sauron. It's a whole thing. But during this whole thing, there's some sort of creature in like a very much spiked suit, kind of hacking into the system and helping out Jubilee and Sunspot. And Mojo is not happy. But ratings have gone up, so he's gained a lot of weight. We also have Spiral, who is trying to stop the hacker from interfering in the game. So they finally get to Android M. Now, Android M has to do with Magneto. So the final boss is obviously Magneto, specifically, sorry, on Android M. And we get a little bit more hint on Sunspot's past because apparently it was during M Day, Asteroid M time, where his mother really hated mutants significantly, which is why he's never told his family that he's a mutant. So they continue on. So she realizes that there's a pattern to his ability, but Sunspot gets hit and his life goes down to zero. So she defeats Magneto, finds an extra life, gives it to him. Mojo is not happy and gives Sunspot a second life. Well, that's when the hacker opens up the portal, gets them out of there, and gets into a spot where Mojo can't get to them. And it is revealed that the um, hacker happens to be none other than an older Jubilee. Apparently, it's part of the beta program, which she had computer programs of both Jubilee and Sunspot run the game, and only this particular Jubilee was able to defeat the game. So during all of this, Mojo breaks into the game and starts to fight the group. Well, Old Jubilee and New Jubilee team up together, create a massive, like, firework chainsaw, or saw in general, and throws it at Mojo and defeats him. In the end, Mojo is defeated. Spiral knocks Mojo away, and it looks like they're all free. Jubilee and Sunspot get back to the real world. She's all excited that they're alive, and she makes out with none other than Sunspot, which causes some quite literal fireworks going off around her. And that, my friends, is the end of Motendo. So the second half of this episode is called Life and Death Part 1. So this cuts into Forge and Storm working together to try to figure out how she's going to get her powers back. He's building, trying to figure out what he's going to do and try to fix the device. Try to fix her radiation problems so she can then gain her powers back. And then it is revealed that not only does Forge love her, but Forge was the one that created the collars in the first place. So because of this, Storm is not happy. So during this whole time of them building up their bond and everything else, Storm is realizing that he's just a piece of work and that he is nothing more than a traitor. And he's basically explaining, like, hey, like I did all of that because I was mad with the world and I wanted nothing more than the world to suffer. And that's why I did what I did. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm trying to fix the wrongs that I've made in my life. Well, she's not happy with it. She basically says, I'd rather have no powers at all than have powers with you. And she's about to leave, and then during this whole episode, there's an owl that's been flying around, and this owl is revealed. Granted, I thought it was Shadow King, to be perfectly honest with you, because of the eyes, the claws, and everything else. I was honestly wrong. It's apparently some creature that absorbs negative thoughts and depression, basically, and wants Storm because Storm is the epitome of depression at this point because she has no powers. And so Forge is knocked away, and now Storm is being captured by this owl creature. And that is how this episode ends. Mostly due to the fact that we're going to find out what happens next week with Life and Death Part 2. Apparently, Life and Death was longer than one episode, but not quite long enough to be two full episodes, which is why they have Motendo. That being said, I'm assuming that we're going to have Storm have her powers back by the end of next episode, but we'll have to wait and see to know for sure. Other than that, I really don't know this owl creature. Like everything else, like with Motendo, I definitely saw in the comics before, or that storyline was kind of shown in the comics. So like Mojo had captured Jubilee at one point, and there was an alternate version of Jubilee that looked just like the one that we saw in the show. So this one was a little bit different, so I'm not quite positive on where this falls, to be honest with you. Overall, looking forward to seeing more about this owl creature and seeing what it does. And maybe it is actually the Shadow King just in disguise. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, there's going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.